We're losing stuff. Come on. Give me 8,600. Longest mile ever. Oh! Where is it? There's 500. Red line hasn't changed, and now we're in traffic. Give me the power. Do I have to cycle the key or something, or? Is it at 501 miles? What is the deal, GM? I want my money back. Oh, did I miss it? What is it, like 500 and a half or something like that? There we go. 8,500 RPM red line. Of course, I'm racing home right now to beat some thunderstorms. Not on great roads for this, but we're gonna take her up a little bit. Let's see. Good morning, ladies. Yeah, got lots of parts showing up for the lightning. Good morning, everyone. It is bright and early. We have a wedding to attend today, and it is a beautiful, beautiful Friday. So I figured let's take something fun down to southern Massachusetts for a wedding. But I'd like to take, I think, the Z06, which is going to be what this video is about. I'm staring at a pile of mods for this thing that I've been collecting since like January, and we're going to get into that in this video. But first, this thing has not been washed ever. It has sat through pollen season, through projects in the garage. The blue actually hides it really well. You can kind of see it on the rear glass there. It is just dusty, dirty. I've had this thing since November. I've ceramic coated it, did some very minor paint correction, but other than that, it has never been washed. So yeah, you can see it on the windshield. It's dirty. But yeah, I'm kind of on a tight schedule right now. So before we mod this thing, and certainly before we take it down to you know, a wedding, we gotta be looking good. Let's back it out, cold start, find a shady spot in the driveway, give this thing a wash. it happened again. Always does. It has been 3 months since I started this video. It was middle of July when I washed this thing for the first time. Took it down to my buddy Adam's wedding. It was a blast. Took it all the way from southern New Hampshire to southern Massachusetts. Blasted through Boston, did some revs in the tunnels, did some pulls, and the car's done absolutely perfect. Also, since I last filmed the video on this car, which I think was in April or May, I've hit the 500 mile break-in. So we've been revving this thing out to 8,600 RPM or whatever it is, and it is glorious. So stick around because we'll definitely be getting into some of that. And that flat plane crank at that RPM is really, really something to hear and feel. But let's get to what this video is all about. Mods, baby. So I've been collecting parts for this car basically since I've got it. And you know, this car is, in my opinion, almost perfect from the factory, but there's always room for improvement, especially, you know, car guys. And this one is no exception. So I've got some parts here. We're gonna be installing all of these in this video. So let's get them unboxed, then we'll kind of go through them and get right to work. I already even got my quick jacks out. Also, check out this sick Corvette sweatshirt from the team over at Heatwave. I saw it on their website, saw the Corvette logo, saw the Heatwave logo, especially if you guys know this is the C4 Corvette logo. I had to have it. Check out the back. Got a C4 and something about the space program. It's super comfortable. It says Corvette down this sleeve. Absolutely had to have it. If you guys are interested in this sweatshirt, go to heatwave.com, use code Chris10 for 10% off. Okay, mods. All right, well, here they are. Everything's out of the box. Most of this stuff I've had since like February or March of this year, and the summer just got away with me, or got away from me with all these projects. And finally buckling down. We're giving some love to the C8 Z06. Right off the bat, first thing that you guys will probably notice, and the mod that I'm most excited about and that I've had for the longest time, is the Z07 carbon fiber front splitter. So the Z06 non-Z07 cars come with this body color kind of little rinky-dinky thing, and the Z07 front splitter is just that much more aggressive. It's going to come out a lot farther, look a lot more aggressive, and in this case I like it because it's a different color from the body, so it's going to kind of draw contrast to that lower splitter. Should look really aggressive, really awesome. This one in particular is from extremeonlinestore.com. You can see it comes in 3 pieces, just like the factory does. It has a beautiful carbon fiber weave. It is super light. You could lift this thing easily with one finger if I could get it to balance there. You know, just a beautiful, beautiful piece. And this is basically exactly how it looks if you had got the Z07 package from the factory, which I didn't, for realistically 3 reasons. First one, when I got this car almost a year ago, or when I ordered it over a year ago, the Z07 package was not available. It was on constraint. They said, we have no idea when this stuff's gonna be ready. I'd already waited 3 years for this car. I said, screw it. I can always add the Z07 visual stuff later. That's one. 2, I wasn't sure if I was crazy about the huge high wing. At first I really wanted it, and then the more I looked, I was like, you know, this factory Z06 wing with the larger winglets looks really aggressive. When I first was interested in this car, I didn't realize that you could put these winglets on there that just really stick up, and I think the rear end like this looks absolutely perfect with the larger winglets installed. And 3, the Z07 package was like a $10,000 adder for the spoiler, the splitter, and I think that was it. I got everything else. I got the carbon ceramics. You get the same side skirts, the exact same shape, except they're not carbon fiber. But I actually prefer the carbon flash metallic. So I got the carbon flash metallic side skirts, mirrors, the little fish bone or chicken wing thing you want to call there, and then the spoiler as well. So some of you may already be saying, why are you going to put a carbon fiber spoiler or front splitter on the front of the car when everything else is carbon flash metallic? I'm not. Carbon fiber front splitter was the only one that Extreme Online Store had back when I ordered it this past winter. Now I believe they have carbon flash and the exposed carbon fiber weave. But I got the carbon fiber weave because it was all that was available. But we're going to be doing something about that a little bit later in the video. Some of you guys probably know where I'm headed with that. But for now, real quick, let's just go over this stuff. We'll go into a little more detail later. These are wheel spacers for the rear. I think I've talked about this in the past. Every car from the factory suffers from this. They always tuck the rear wheel in a little bit too far. So these are some custom rear wheel spacers that I had made. I'll talk about those in more detail later. Black lugs. Again, this was an option from Chevy for like $300 when I ordered the car. So I said, screw that. I'll just find some after the fact. But I think the chrome lugs are the only chrome on the car. So that's always kind of bothered me. You can get aftermarket ones for even cheaper, but I figured on an extremely expensive car, it probably doesn't hurt to go with an OEM quality lug. So I found these OEM GM black lugs. There's the part number right there if any of you guys need it, for like $140 or something like that. So we'll put those on while we have the wheels off. And got to get the stance right. This thing needs to come down 3/4 of an inch or an inch or so. Rears from the factory, you can just adjust the factory coilover, so we can do that. The fronts, normally you could too, but I optioned this car with the front lift, which means we need lowering collars, which I got from, I think that you pronounce it Sissio Performance. So there's just these little collars that you install on the front lift or shock body. It comes with a depinning tool and some other stuff. I actually really need to look into this a little bit farther. But that's enough chat for now. I think to get started, let's get this thing up in the air on the quick jacks. Let's get the wheels and tires off. I think I'm going to clean them and ceramic coat them because I didn't do that when I ceramic coated the car because I knew that I was going to be doing this and taking the wheels off again. So let's get those ceramic coated, get the wheels off, and we can get to work on the front suspension and those wheel spacers. Let's get to work. Well, damn. We got ourselves a floating C8 Z06. Man, do those yellow calipers pop on that Riptide blue paint. Don't regret my color choices, not even a little. So we are making progress. Obviously the car is up in the air, got the wheels blown off, managed to not chip my very expensive carbon ceramic rotors, which by the way, even if you're not tracking the car, I love these things just because they don't produce any brake dust. The wheels stay clean forever compared to, you know, steel or iron rotors, which rust immediately. I need to paint these hats on the Camaro, but even if you do paint the hats, let's say you wash the car and then, you know, drive it down the road, all that rust just falls off onto your newly cleaned wheels. Not the case with carbon ceramics. I'm still kind of up in the air on using these protector things. Obviously you don't want to chip the rotor, but if you use any care at all in removing the wheel, you really shouldn't. The wheel's gonna hit the caliper in most cases before you hit the wheel itself, but I got them. So anyways, black wheels matter. Got a lot of them over here. Got this SVE set, the 20-inch reps for the Lightning that I still have not thrown on yet, just for giggles. Decided instead of kneeling on the floor, I was gonna make myself a little ceramic coating station using a couple of those wheels, get it more at, you know, arm's height. Clean, degrease, and then use CarPro Eraser to prep for the ceramic coating, and then ceramic coated with G-Technic products on all four wheels. This wheel design is a pain in the butt. You have to get in every single one of these nooks and crannies, but these things are buttery smooth now. Gonna be very hydrophobic, hopefully easier to clean and stay cleaner longer. Those two are back there. This is a rear one. Look at these 345s. Absolute steamrollers. Also did the calipers while they're right there. So we are moving on to the wheel spacers. I got these from Motorsports Tech, not sponsored. I paid for these with my own money. Super high quality wheel spacer made here in the USA. I can't remember which state right now. But yeah, they're machined right here in America. And that's important because you don't want your wheels falling off on any vehicle, much less a vehicle such as this. So I wanted to go with a high quality wheel spacer, grade 10.9 hardware on these. I think it's, you know, T6061 aluminum, super high quality there, but that's only half of it. A lot of wheel spacers out there will do that. I did a lot of research on these wheel spacers for this car before I bought them, and that's because, well, for two reasons. One, to figure out how wide I needed to get to space the wheels out, and the consensus that I found was that a 20 millimeter wheel spacer will get the wheel basically flush with the body, which is what I'm looking for. And the second option, or the second parameter here that's really important is to us guys with the carbon ceramic brakes. You see this little feature? It's like a little indent in the rotor hat itself here. That's what's important. Most wheel spacers for the C8 have a diameter that is slightly larger than this one right here. And the reason these are the ones that you want to buy for this car are because this now fits in that area. So we got a gap there. So we know that this entire face of this spacer is flush and mounted on this face of the rotor here. What happens is guys will order regular wheel spacers and the diameter is a lot bigger. So basically it sits on this outer ring and you have such a small surface area of the wheel spacer in contact with the hat that it's dangerous. This is how your wheel is attached to the car, is the friction between these two surfaces provided by the lugs. So if you have only a tiny bit right on this edge because your wheel spacer is too big, none of the wheel spacer is touching this area. It's not how it's designed to work. Potentially dangerous. Maybe you can get away with it. I don't know. I'm not risking it. Some guys have bought regular wheel spacers and, you know, put them in a lathe or given them to a machine shop and machined, you know, a couple thou or, you know, whatever off of the outer diameter. That works too. That's totally fine. I don't have a machine shop. I have a garage. So I just got with the guys at Motorsports Tech. I told them, hey, I have the carbon ceramic brakes, so I think you guys are aware of that issue. They said, yep, no problem. A couple weeks later, these showed up, and I'm super happy with them. Got this side bolted on and torqued last night. The torque spec for these wheels is 140 foot-pounds, so you torque the spacer to the same thing. Also important to note, depending on the thickness of your wheel spacer, you want to make sure that the wheel itself is also going to sit flush on this surface. Now you have these studs, the original studs, to watch out for. So you need to make sure that the pockets right here in the back of the original wheel are deep enough to make sure that this face sits flush on the spacer itself. Really basic stuff, but it's really important because, again, that's what attaches your wheel to the vehicle. I measured, I think I'm good to go, and again, the general consensus is if you do the 20 millimeter rear spacers like I did, you don't need to trim your stock studs. If you do the 15 millimeter spacers, you might need to. And again, that's really no big deal. There's no threads on the end here. You just take a millimeter or two off and then you'll be good, but you just want to make sure that your wheel is fully seated on there. So that's the wheel spacers. Easy stuff. Next up, let's get to lowering this thing while it's right here. Rear is super easy, or should be super easy. Like I said, these come with basically a coilover from the factory, so we should have to just loosen this bottom ring and then bring this top ring all the way down here. That should lower the rear. No different than the QA1 coilovers I have on the Camaro or the max speeding rod set that we have on the Cobra or any other coilover. So that's easy enough. Just gotta see if the coilover wrenches I have will work for those, hopefully. On the front, we've got these Sissio Performance lowering collars. Really simple aluminum piece here, but the entire front strut shock assembly, coilover assembly really has to come out of the car, and we gotta swap this thing on the bench. So I gotta get the frunk open here, basically unbolt the strut, unbolt the connector, bring the whole thing down, install this, then put it all back together up in the car. So first real wrenches we're gonna be turning on the C8. It's gonna be doing these lowering collars. I think I have everything I need to lower the front and rear if my coilover wrenches are gonna work. We should be able to get this thing back on the ground, and then hopefully we can move on to the front splitter in a little bit here. But let's get back at it. right, just like that, the C8 is lowered. Well, you know, it will be. You know, it's in the air right now, but once it's down, it should be lower than it, you know, normally was on the ground. In all seriousness, got the front and back dialed or knocked out anyways. Got the Sissio Performance collars in there. Just that little red guy right in there, that's it. My understanding is it basically just allows this front lift assembly, which is actually a really cool little thing. There's like a hydraulic actuator down here that you guys might be able to see right there. Yeah, that's a hydraulic line that basically inflates this whole thing and allows the front of the vehicle to lift like 3 inches or 2.7 inches or whatever it is to get over speed. I honestly have not really used it that much yet, but now that we're an inch lower in the front and we're gonna have a bigger splitter on the front, maybe I will be using it. That's, you know, I've probably gone through 6 splitters on this car at this point. That thing is low, but you know, front lift could be useful now that we're going to be living the low life here. So front's knocked out, not too bad. 3 bolts on the strut up top, 1 bolt on the bottom. Undo the electrical connector and 1 bolt for the hydraulic line, and then the strut bolt itself, and the whole thing comes out. Disassemble it on the bench, basically take the whole thing apart, take the factory sleeve out, put the Sissio one on, and then reverse of disassembly, put it all back together. Done deal, torqued all the bolts. Should be good to go up here. On the rear, just crank the factory coilovers down using some wrenches that I had from, you know, coilovers from these cars. Shout out to GM for giving us a coilover from the factory so we can just lower it down. You know, no big deal. Just like in the C5, C6 days, maybe C7, I haven't owned one of those yet, where you can just lower those pucks for the transverse leaf springs on those things. But yeah, got the lowering knocked out. I'm sure this thing's gonna look awesome. Got my wheels bolted on with the black lugs. Looks so much better than those chrome ones. And now we got 20 millimeters more poke, but these will come out even more, I believe, once the car's on the ground, but it already looks so much better. So we're done back here. And just like that, I basically knocked out 75% of the mods, but I saved the best one for last. And you guys guessed it, we are going to be painting this thing carbon flash metallic so that it matches the rest of the, you know, accessories or trim pieces on the car, mirrors, spoiler, skirts, all that good stuff. When we were down painting the Cobra back in April or whenever that was, while Ben was working on something else, I mixed up some carbon flash metallic. Okay, well actually there you go. It's March 23rd, 2024. GM carbon flash metallic, mixed up some of this base coat, and should be a perfect match. Hey, get out of there, bro. Perfect match for the carbon flash metallic on this car, so we can paint this front splitter to match. Unfortunately, it's about 40 degrees out and nighttime right now, so paint is gonna have to wait till tomorrow or maybe the next day. I'm not sure, it really depends on the weather. But in the meantime, we can get this thing prepped. I'm probably gonna hit it with, we gotta get all this clear coat scuffed up so the paint has something to bond to, so probably 600 or 800. We'll wet sand the whole thing, get it ready for paint. And also, I think I might like to try and test fit it, so we gotta get this old one off. So yeah, that's the plan. Let's get the factory body colored splitter off, get this one test fit and on, and then start getting it prepped for paint and maybe even spray it in. beautiful, beautiful fall morning. All right, so we are making some headway on this splitter. Got the original one removed, which is a fairly in-depth process. The entire underside of this car is plated basically with this, these fiber panels. June 1st, 2023. You guys know I love dates. Some guy wrote that in paint pen. What does that say? 8/9/23. Maybe this is when it was made and this was final assembly or something. I don't know, very cool. But there's this center plate and then a plate on each side that are held in with like 50 screws each. So you gotta undo like 100 screws under here. And then the splitter itself is held on with like 20 screws as well. And some of them are Torx, some of them are 7mm. So fairly involved getting this thing off. Of course, the factory one is in 3 pieces and they kind of connect via, let me just show you in this one, these little clips that I've already taken out, and then it kind of screws together like that. So you guys saw me working with the Dremel yesterday. I was basically making those holes so that the factory clips would put in. Extreme Online Store gave you some hardware, but no instructions, so I'm not really sure how they want you to put it together, but it's easy to use the factory hardware and it's gonna work well, so that's what I'm doing. So you can see those here, got those clips in on both these pieces, so we'll get the center piece and then the side pieces will bolt to it. Also got this all scuffed down with 600 grit, wet sanded, top and bottom sides, all the nooks and crannies. Just got to give them a final wipe here, and then we should be good to lay down some carbon flash metallic. And it's a beautiful sunny day out here in the paint booth, so it's still early, so I'm just waiting for it to warm up a little bit, and then we should be able to paint. Now I know what you're thinking. Is this guy really about to paint parts for his $150,000 Z06 out in his driveway or in his backyard? Yep, sure am. They usually come out pretty good, and if any, dust or crap gets in there, we can always wet sand and polish it out later. But today is you're looking like it's gonna be a perfect day to paint, so let's get these cleaned up, wait for it to warm up just a little bit more, and let's get them sprayed in. right, it is a couple days later. I got the splitter painted in on Saturday and let it bake. Beautiful weekend in New England this weekend. Let it bake in the sun Saturday and Sunday. So it's been like 2 or 3 full days since I painted it. Came out, The carbon flash metallic laid down really nice as a base coat, and then clear coat was okay. I was having some problems with it coming out splotchy at first, and I think it's because when I cleaned the gun last time, I might have messed up some of my fan and flow settings. So I was kind of spraying over orange peel to begin with. So it didn't lay down nearly as nice as I'd like and nearly as nice as I normally get, to be honest with you. And then we added in the fact that every bug within a 7 square mile radius decided they wanted to come out. So we got a couple guys in there, but man, look at that flake. Looks sweet. And then I think a bird pooped on it at one point. But overall, I mean, carbon flash metallic looks sick. You know, I was really hoping to be like, yeah, I'm painting in my backyard and be able to tell you guys, look, you can do this too. It's gonna come out perfect. But this is the reality, you know? This is real life. Doesn't always go as planned, but the good news is we can fix this easy. A little bit of wet sanding, a little bit of buffing. This will look like perfect. I put on 4 heavy coats of clear. So there's plenty of material there for us to, you know, wet sand and then buff it out and it'll look like glass. And it's been baking in the sun and basically curing for 3 days. So it should be good enough now where I can do that. But little parts like these can be difficult to hold in your hand and then like wet sand and buff. So I think the move here is gonna be assemble this thing, get it on the car, get it all back together, and then we'll wet sand it and buff. So then basically the car is holding the splitter for me so I can focus on the wet sanding and buffing. So that is the next step. Let's get this 3-piece splitter assembled, get it back on the Z06, maybe get it wet sanded and buffed and see how this thing looks. guys have heard me say a million times, it's all about the details, and this is a perfect example of that. Just a few parts and not too much work, and we have made this thing look so much more aggressive, and in my opinion, much better. Shoo doggy! That Z07 splitter, I can't believe I let that sit in the box for 6 months. Well, I can, because you guys know how it goes around here, but you know, why? I mean, should I just throw that old one right in the trash? Like, why would you'd never put that back on. I mean, this just made the front end right there so much more aggressive. You know, looks like the C6ZR1 one over there, just a little bit more. What's that Family Guy character? Francis Bottomtooth or whatever? That's what I'm talking about. Looks sick. Took a long time, many hours of wet sanding and buffing, but I got this thing looking stellar. Look at the flake in that carbon flash metallic. It's a perfect match to the carbon flash metallic up here. Just absolutely love that flake, top and bottom. And I think it was worth the extra effort, you guys. I mean, obviously now I could have just ordered this from Extreme Online Store. But I had the paint and I think it was worth it. In my opinion, there's no other carbon fiber on the exterior. You know, just having an exposed carbon fiber weave on the front there would have looked a little bit weird. So I'm super happy with that. Also super happy with the fit and finish from Extreme Online Store. This thing fit absolutely perfectly, like lines up perfectly. It's a 3-piece splitter, so I did have concerns about that, but it is just, you know, dead nuts, on the money. Looks awesome. Fitment was perfect. I didn't have to like waller out any holes or force anything. It literally just slid right on. All like 60 of those bolts on the bottom went in, no problems, and all of the factory locations. If you guys told me this was a $2,000 splitter, I probably would have believed you. You guys saw the original carbon fiber finish. It looked great as well. And I'm not just saying that because they sent it to me. Like I said, you guys saw the installation here. That was not that hard, and I am so pleased with the fit and finish. So if you guys are interested in the Z07 splitter for your C8 Z06 or C8 or any other C8 parts, they make tons and tons of C8 parts, interior, exterior, other makes and models as well, you name it. Check out extremeonlinestore.com. Link for this will be in the description below. Yeah, highly recommend the Extreme Online Store Z07 splitter. Also made a huge mess and managed to somehow break my brand new RIPS mini buffer or hybrid nano, whatever this thing is. Something in here broke, or like the gear stripped or something. I've reached out to their customer service, so hopefully they help me out, but that broke, so I ended up using a combination of just a drill with a foam pad and then the old reliable Flex DA here. I did, I think, 1500 grit, 2000 grit, 2500 grit, then cut and polished multiple times, and then ceramic coated the whole thing. Well worth the effort. Also, check out this stance. Thing is down. Looks awesome. Black lugs, nice little touch. The rear spacers, look at that. Almost perfectly flush with the fender or the quarter. That's exactly what we were looking for. Black lugs there too, definitely looking lower here. I took some preliminary measurements. Looks like we're about a ½ inch down in the rear and 3/4 in the front. I think Sissio advertises 1 inch in the front, but that's totally normal. You gotta drive them to let the suspension settle. So we're gonna take this thing for a drive. More importantly, see what it looks like outside. But if you can't already tell, it's dark out, it's late at night right now. So that's gonna have to wait till tomorrow, but we'll get it out in the sun. We'll take this thing for a drive, beat on it a little bit, and we'll see what the final ride height looks like tomorrow. Catch you guys then. Getting so dirty. and stuff. Snap, crackle, pops on decel are, woo, intoxicating. Man, I'll tell you, there's a section of Interstate 95 here in Mexico where you got to merge and get over like 4 lanes like that, and getting up to speed quickly without going over the speed limit is the best way to do it. This thing pulls so hard all the way to, what do we got, 8,500, 8,600 RPM. And the sounds are just intoxicating. The downshifts, the burbles, the snap, crackle, that flat plane crank, something else. Shoot! Carbon ceramics ain't half bad either. Get up to speed and get down real fast. Man, I've owned this car for almost a year, and on camera, the color almost looks fake. Like right there, and right there. It's so bright, so much metallic, like the camera can't even pick it up. Just never gets old. But check it out, here's our finished product. The suspension should be totally settled by now. We are nice and down in the front, perfect stance, rear looks perfect. My new 3-piece Z07 style carbon flash metallic carbon fiber. Wow, that's a mouthful. Splitter is on and looks absolutely perfect. Matches the trim and the bumper up here. Black lugs, nice little touch. What else did we do? Oh yeah, space the rear wheels out. Looks awesome. No more tucked rear wheels. Got the perfect stance that a Corvette should have. Oh. Love it. Holy crap. Comes another one. F-16s are deafening. Guys just going straight up. Man, this weather is unreal. It's Halloween today, October 31st, and it is like 79 degrees out. I should have worn shorts. Beautiful. Should have taken the top off here. Oh man, they're doing a bunch of construction on my road, so I think this thing got a little dirty just going in and out of the driveway, but they are repaving it, so it is going to be brand new pavement here shortly, but until then, these cars might get a little dirty, but that's okay. As long as you're out there driving them, that's what counts. So, final measurements on this thing. We are down a full inch in the front, just as Sissio intended or promised. So from 27.5 to 26.5 in the back, lowering the vehicle using the factory OEM coilovers. We're down about 7/8 of an inch, pretty much all the way around, which is pretty good too. I think the stance is absolutely perfect. You know, as far as tire tuck is concerned, just a little bit more than a finger up front and a little bit more than that in the rear, which is that just tiny bit of rake that I think fits on just about any vehicle. You know, just a tad lower in the front than the rear, like just a little bit. But man, does it feel good to be modding this thing. I've been waiting forever to get that lip on there. Looks so much more aggressive than the factory color match one. The wheels look great, spaced out. The ride height looks great. The black lugs, really small touch, but makes a big difference. Well, it took 2 months to finish this video, but it is finally done. We're gonna call it here. I'm super happy with the exterior on this thing. I don't know if there's that much more I would do. I think it's, in my opinion, pretty much perfect. But I don't know, I think it could be a little bit louder. I think you guys know where that's heading, but that's gonna be in a different video. Those parts actually just showed up on the bench, so hopefully be getting to that soon. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Catch you in the next one.